Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of AM Minnesota. I'm chuckling because Cathy Wurzer is with us on the phone. Good morning, Cathy.
Hey, Gordy, how are you?
I didn't choose that song, by the way.
But I like it. I was kind of bopping around in my seat listening off air, and I like it.
Well, I like that song, too. I was kind of an Anne Murray fan. Probably unusual for a guy to be an Anne Murray fan, but I was.
Well, I'm not surprised.
I like her music.
Yeah, I do, too.
She is from Canada, right?
I believe you are correct, yes. Yes, and she and I, we're dating ourselves, by saying that we like Anne Murray, But that's okay. I'm good with that.
Hey, there's nothing wrong. We're our special time in life, and, of course, we're talking today about living and dying well. You were with us last June, and you're reconvening in the faribault-Owatonna area next week.
That's absolutely right, yeah. That first event at Medford High School, and actually this whole series statewide that we have going is about inviting folks to have conversations about the big questions in life. I'm talking about what matters most in your life, what inspires you, what's your definition of a meaningful life, and how we can live a full life even when we get a serious illness or some kind of disability, or even as we approach the end of our lives. And before that end approaches, Gordy, we want people to think about and plan for that inevitable end now so they can get to the business of living.
Well, look at Prince. Didn't leave a will.
He did not, and people were shocked by that because, here was a guy who was a multimillionaire, and you would think that he would have planned for something, but he didn't, and look at the mess that has ensued because of that, too, And in our point here with the convenings and the reconvening is it's about examining what matters to you now and what could matter at the end of your life. And the reconvening is just a way to check in on the community to see how folks are responding and answering some of these big questions that we posed to them back in June. So I don't know what happened to Prince, but knowing Prince, he figured he wasn't going to die or something. I don't know. We have these fears about having these big conversations, right? And they're hard to have because they're uncomfortable. But they're really needed, as you know, because, you don't want to wait till the very end of things when everything is so chaotic to start having these conversations about what do you want to have done at the end of your life.
Well, I have to be honest, having been with my mom when she passed,
Oh,
it was so peaceful. It was really an awesome experience.
Isn't it, though? I was with my father when he took his last breaths, and that was obviously very hard.
Sure.
But he was pretty blunt about what he wanted done at the end of his life. He had a so-called living will, and we knew exactly what he wanted, which was actually kind of a blessing because it made we didn't have to have these conversations about, oh, my gosh, what does Dad want? He was pretty clear, and we got him back home, and he died peacefully in the living room and overlooking Lake Superior.
Oh, wow.
And it was a sad but a beautiful experience.
Yeah, no, it was awesome, and she did the same thing. She had a living will. She had a health care directive. She had, the do not resuscitate order, and that's the first thing they said to me when we got her to the ER. Is she has a DNR, and I said, I know, as I was sniffling, of course. But it was really awesome to be able to say goodbye, and same thing didn't happen with my dad. He died alone in the middle of the night in a nursing home, and that's just not the way to go, unfortunately.
Exactly. And my friend Bruce Kramer, who I think some people might remember, he's kind of the whole spark for the convenings. He had ALS, and we'll probably talk about him a bit later on in our conversation.
Sure.
But he was pretty clear, too, about what he wanted at the end of his life, and I was with him, too, at the very end. And it's really a gift, I think, you give your friends and your family when you have these health care directives, because it just clears up a lot of the confusion that can come at the very end.
Well, and families can have arguments about what should or shouldn't be done, and if it's laid out, etched in stone, so to speak, you don't have those arguments.
That's exactly right. And there is that, as you say, this peace that can come then at the end, which I think that is such a beautiful thing when you can do that. And, boy, doing these convenings events around Minnesota, you do hear about families who've been just ripped apart at the very end. You got arguments, I think Mom wanted that versus this.
Yeah.
And you always get that sibling who kind of flies in at the very end of things.
I have Cathy Wurzer again with us. Cathy, thanks again for joining us.
Gordy, can I tell you, as I was listening to the farm report there,
that
I got to tell you, I think that is so important. And folks in the Twin Cities just don't get that.
No,
you know what
that's
I'm
true.
saying?
You're
Yeah.
right.
And when I was driving out to Laverne to do a Re-Convenings a couple months ago, I was listening to KDHL, and I was thinking to myself, well, I'm so glad that there are stations that do this kind of work. You know, you get your community news, you cover your area beautifully, and it's fun to listen to.
Well, I appreciate that, Kathy. I'm very appreciative of that. By the way, we probably got a little ahead of ourselves, or I probably got a little ahead of myself. Convening started because you and the gentleman you mentioned earlier co-authored a book, right?
Oh, yeah, Bruce Kramer. Yeah, he was an amazing guy. We did, and but by way of introduction, Bruce was the former dean of the College of Education at the University of St. Thomas in the cities, and really an amazing guy, a musician, and really smart, interesting person. And he developed ALS in December of 2010, and he blogged about it. He had his own little blog about it, and kind of was a guy who didn't really focus on the day-to-day issues of having a disease. He was kind of more of a philosophical sort of a person. And for folks who don't know what ALS is, all the muscles in the body kind of die off, and folks who have it are paralyzed, and they ultimately die from ALS. So Bruce knew he was slowly dying, and that knowledge pretty quickly rearranges a person's priorities. It draws everything into a pretty clear focus. And I tell you, that guy really lived a full life with that disease. And so he and I got together and we wrote this book, We Know How This Ends, Living While Dying. And it was really an experience for me personally to be alongside a person who knew what was happening, accepted his fate, and yet lived this beautiful life that as his body kept deteriorating, it's like his spirit kept expanding. And it was just really amazing to watch. So, that book and his teachings kind of was the spark for the Convenings. And what we hope is that people who attend these events will ask themselves what's important in their lives right now, as Bruce asked what was important in his life, and then how folks who attend hope to live their lives until they die, much like Bruce did. It's. I know it sounds odd here, Gordy, but it really is an interesting series of events. And we don't hang black crepe or anything like that. We actually make it into an event. We got music, and we do some readings and storytelling. I do some interviews with experts in the community, and we have conversation with folks. And that's part of the convenings. And the reconvening that we're having in Owatonna is just to see how things have gone since the last time I was in town in June.
Yeah, this is at the Trinity Lutheran Church in Owatonna. That's located at 609 Lincoln Avenue South. It'll be from 6:30 until 8 next Thursday evening, January 25th.
Correct, sir. Correct. And we were asking our friends in the Faribault-Owatonna area, the planning committee, what should we do for the reconvening? I mean, how have you guys been doing since the last time we were here? And they said, great. And we've had some various community events since the last time you were here. So we'll ask about what happened. And I said specifically, what kind of questions have people been asking since we were last in town? And the planning committee said, well, and this makes total sense, there seems to be, among some people, fears about having these end-of-life conversations. So do you have any hints as to how to get these things started, how to make it easier to have these conversations? And it's different for everybody. An example might be, and we'll talk about this on stage next Thursday, we're having Haley Brown join us. And Haley is a music therapist at the Alina Health Owatonna Faribault area home care clinic, and she's in hospice and at the Homestead Hospice House. And Haley, as a music therapist, has helped a hospice patient write a song. And the patient wrote the lyrics, and Haley put it to music. And it went off so well, they're writing another song. And they did this in order to help the hospice patient's family kind of get on board with what was going on. It was a way to communicate, you know. And I think that's kind of creative and different, you know. And so it's hard to have these conversations, but it's really needed. And I don't know about you and your mom, if you ever had conversations leading to her death.
Oh, lots of times, yeah.
Did you? Really?
Oh, yeah. No.
How'd they go? Just curious.
Well, excellent, because, you know, I guess we had a good relationship where I could tell her anything, she could tell me anything. It was awesome. It was really good.
Okay. See, a lot of people just don't even know how to get the thing going. It really is difficult. Bee Oberg, she's going to join us too. Bee, many people probably know Bee is the wife of Pastor Jim Oberg, and she's a member of the planning team in the Faribault-Owatonna area, and she works in end-of-life care. At any rate, Pastor Jim had a couple open heart surgeries, evidently. And that first open heart surgery, they didn't really talk about what could happen. You know, they just kind of thought, well, we'll cross our fingers and hope everything's okay. The second open heart surgery, they got into the nitty-gritty of what could happen if he didn't make it. And she says they really had some very deep, meaningful conversations, and it really has kind of changed the way both of them view their lives right now. And so Bee is a fantastic speaker. She's great. And so she's going to join us on stage to talk about how to even open the conversation. You know, how do you even, what's the question you ask? When do you do this sort of stuff? And to try to get over some of the fear people have about having these conversations. And it's not only about just dying, for goodness sakes. I really want people to also really think about, like what my friend Bruce did. Gosh, you know, what matters in your life? How do you want to live your life right now? I think, Gordy, and you probably know people in your life, because I know people in my life, kind of sleepwalk through their lives, you know? And then they get to the end and they go, geez, did I do everything I wanted to do? I don't know,
well,
you know?
I don't want to be too philosophical here, but, I mean, we're all dying.
Sure.
You know.
I hate to think about it, but...
Yeah. And
yeah.
here's the perfect quote for that, Cathy. I found this. Woody Allen said, and you may know this, it's not that I'm afraid to die, I just don't want to be there when it happens. Isn't that awesome?
It is good. It is true. I think most people kind of agree with that on some level. And, you know, and I think, though, it's just, I'm hoping, with my work with Bruce Kramer, I've really realized that it is best to just kind of to think about the end game now, and then it kind of frees your mind up to kind of live your life now. You know what I'm saying? It just, you don't have to sit there and dwell on this stuff, but just get your act in order, I think. And then it just kind of, you go, oh, okay, you know what? It's going to happen someday, hopefully many, 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 many years from now. But you're right, we're all kind of going down that road. And let's just kind of figure out how you want the end to go now, and then it just kind of frees you up to live your life.
And you know the song "Live Like You Were Dying." There's a lot of truth in that too.
Darn right there is.
As
That's
you
a
know,
beautiful song.
with
it's
Mr.
a beautiful
Kramer.
song. Yeah, exactly. And you know, folks like Carrie Yelmgren, she's the coordinator for Alina Health South region. She's with she's done a lot of these conversations with folks, and you know, and especially Bee Oberg, being a volunteer at a hospice, you run into people at the end of their lives and they think to themselves, gee, I wish I would have, you know, you get to the end and you think to yourself, I wish I wouldn't have done certain things. You know, we all have regrets, obviously, but why not live right now while you're, before you die? And we all tend to just kind of not think about some of these. We just get so caught up in the day-to-day that you don't really look at the big picture, I guess. That's the bottom line.
Well, I don't know how you feel about this, Cathy, but I really think a great gift is organ donation. I think it's a fantastic way of kind of living on, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm an organ donor. It's on my driver's license.
Yeah, and I wish more and more people would sign up for it, because we do have a lot of people sitting on waiting lists.
I know it. And that is a way to kind of live on and give a gift in a different sense to folks when you are gone. And the other gift, of course, as we mentioned prior, is to have your healthcare directive signed, and it gives kind of a bit of a roadmap to your friends and family as to what you want. I mean, everyone thinks that this is for just the elderly, but it's not. I mean, even as a young person with a family, you can get terribly sick.
Yep, I could have a stroke today.
Yeah, or you could get in a bad accident, and you can't speak for yourself, and then what, And then you're left with the situation, as many families have gone through, as we talked prior to, there's that awful, awful situation where the doctors are asking you, well, what would your loved one want? Do you want to intubate your loved one? What does that mean? It's really hard, and that is a lot of stress and pressure on the family or even friends, So it's just we're just trying to encourage people to have these important family conversations now. And if you don't know how to get it going, there are lots of people out there in your community to help you get the conversations going and to help get your healthcare directive written and signed.
Well, I remember we were just sitting in my mom's apartment one time, and I said, Ma, what would you like your funeral to be like? You know, I just kind of brought it up like that, and she said, well, I guess I won't know the difference.
Thanks, Mom.
Which I had to laugh, you know. She was so cute.
You know, actually doing I decided, Gordy, that it was probably a good idea to get all my stuff done if I'm going to be doing these conversations around Minnesota, you know, kind of practice what you preach. And I thought to myself as I sat down at the computer, I thought, all right, now, well, what is it? What do I want at the end? And then I kind of got into my own funeral planning, and I got to say, it was kind of, in a weird way, fun.
Sure.
And I'm not going to be there, but I want other people to remember me, hopefully in a good way, and to celebrate my life. And it's actually, again, one of these gifts where you give your family. I remember when my father passed away, he passed away. They came to go get him and bring him to the funeral home. And my mom said, check your dad's desk. There's an envelope in the desk. He told me about an envelope. You should go open it. Of course, I'm thinking, oh, my God. So I went to his desk, opened the door, and by gosh, there is an envelope saying, to be opened upon my death. And I thought, oh, my gosh, what am I going to find here when I open it? So I thought, all right, hopefully Dad's not going to make any big pronouncements in this thing or any you know, weird things come out. So I open it up, and I read it in front of my family, and it was what he wanted. He was very specific about readings for the funeral,
awesome.
What he wanted in his the funeral notice, and then some words, personal words to the family about what he thought, and it was a beautiful thing. And I thought, well, he had the presence of mind. He had Alzheimer's. He had the presence of mind before he got really sick to do this, and that was truly wonderful to have that opportunity to know what he really wanted.
A great gift. It was a great gift.
It is, yeah. And so, that's what we talk about during the convenings and the reconvenings, that it's important to have this advanced care plan, but it's equally important to discover what gives your life meaning. Because if you know what gets you out of bed in the morning and the reasons to enjoy your life and what your purpose is, we think that can help inform the reflection that you need to do and how you want to live your life now and at the end of your life. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch.
Your book with Mr. Kramer reminds me of Tuesdays with Morrie.
Oh, that is so nice that you say that.
Did you ever read that book?
I did, and
I was blubbering like a baby reading that book, I got to tell you.
You're absolutely right. And Morrie, for folks who don't remember the book, and it's a great book, he had ALS as well.
Yeah.
And it actually kind of turned out that way. I would show up to Bruce's house, once a week, I suppose, and I never really knew what we were going to talk about. I would just kind of tee up a question, and to his credit, as he used to say, look, I got nothing to hide at this point. I'm dying. So, he would talk about anything, and it was this, he was such a good teacher, too, right? So he was able to describe these philosophical concepts in a really easy-to-understand way, and we'd have these really interesting conversations. And then when my dad got sick, and ultimately my dad lost his ability to speak, and he was in a wheelchair, Bruce, being in a wheelchair, but able to speak, almost became my dad's voice. I would tell Bruce something that was going on with my father, and Bruce would say, oh, yeah. Well, that's happening to me, so you might want to try this. And I'd go back home and say to Dad, are you having trouble with this, Dad? And he'd nod his head, like, thank God someone's understanding what I'm saying. And Bruce almost became my dad's voice. It was really interesting how all this worked together, and it happened kind of at the same time. As my dad was dying, really so was Bruce. It was crazy, Gordy, I'm telling you, to live this experience. Yeah,
Mitch Albom wrote that book, by the way. 1997 is when it came out.
Yeah, right.
Tuesdays
and I remember
with
at the time when you read the book, didn't it get you thinking about, really, though?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
How you wanted the end to go and how you wanted to live your life?
Yeah, I made a lot of decisions. I haven't put them down on paper yet. Like you, I should probably do that, though.
Gordy.
I know it. Shame on me.
No shame, no blame. No shame, no blame. It's okay, I mean, it is pretty, I have to say, once you get started, it's pretty easy to keep going, though, really. And the most important thing, too, if I could just mention this, because I had to really think about this. You think about a person who can speak for you, your health care agent. That's important, really important.
That's hard because you don't know if your siblings, like mine, are around my age, so I don't know if they're going to be around. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, right. So I didn't pick a sibling. I picked my nephew, who's much younger. He's going to be a doctor. He's at the U of M.
I have a doctor, a niece doctor. I should call her. That's a good idea.
Oh, well, there you go. And actually, sometimes I think almost it's better sometimes to have a family member, but maybe not a sibling, you know. Some people that I know in my life, I have a good friend who's younger. I'm the healthcare agent for a friend of mine who's 76 right now, and I know what she wants. I have her papers right here on the desk with me, so when that time comes, I understand what she wants. And she feels like, whew, I got that out of the way now. Good,
yeah.
okay.
I bet a relief goes off your shoulders there. Anyway,
yeah, exactly.
Reconvenings next Thursday, Trinity Lutheran Church, Owatonna. Also, you're going to be in Northfield at the Northfield High School Auditorium on February 8th, same time. 6:30 to late.
Say, by the way, we're providing a round-trip bus from Trinity Lutheran Church in Faribault to Trinity Lutheran Church in Owatonna. We don't want people to drive in the snow if you don't want to do it. So registration for the bus is required. So here's where you get to register. We have a website. It's theconvenings.org, convenings.org, theconvenings.org. So if you don't want to, if something happens and there's a lot of snow or something, you don't want to drive, we have that bus, but you got to sign up for the bus.
Okay, theconvenings.org.
Yes, sir, yes. And I hope it would be great if you showed up. We have a surprise for the community, too. It's a little parting gift. We'll announce it during the show. I can't say anything else about that. It's top secret.
That's okay. Northfield High School Auditorium. If you can't make it to Owatonna, you can go to Northfield.
That's right.
On February the 8th.
But I'm hoping people show up on January 25th, to be honest with you.
Before you leave, Kathy, I have to find out, because you did these in 6 different communities last year, and obviously you were inspired enough to do the Re-Convenings, right?
Yeah. And on a personal level, is that true? I'm hoping you're going to ask?
That's where I was going, yes.
Uh-huh.
So what has this done for you, Kathy?
Yeah. It's not too far-fetched to say that it's kind of changed my life, being in our business, you kind of grow a real thick skin.
That's true.
And you have to, right? And you kind of plow through things, being with Bruce Kramer and then doing the convenings and the reconvenings and hearing people's stories and thinking about how you want to live your life fully, even if you develop a disease or disability. And it's really allowed me to kind of look at myself and kind of shed that thick skin, that armor, and kind of be a little more vulnerable and really take a good long look at myself and how I do want to live my life. And people all around the state of Minnesota have amazing stories. And I've really learned a lot from other people as they tell their stories during the convenings. And I've gotten some good ideas, too, about how people are looking at their lives. And it's not too far-fetched, Gordy, to say that my life has changed, and I'm so glad it has. And I never would have thought it ever would have happened the way it has, but life is strange, and you take different twists and turns, and this has been one amazing journey, I got to tell you.
Well, I don't know. I saw a slide on your website, which I totally agree with, something to the effect that you have permission to punch somebody if they tell you that everything happens for a reason, and bad things happen.
I know.
I'm with you on that.
So
I don't believe that at all.
In terms of, right, exactly. But I wonder, I've often asked myself, how did I get into this situation, right? I mean, how did I meet Bruce Kramer? Why was that supposed to happen? I don't know. Things just kind of happen, and I kind of go with it. And I've been kind of, each door that's opened to me with this project has led me to really, I think, living a life that I'm happier with now than I was before, you know?
I'm not saying that there's not divine intervention here and there. I just don't believe that bad things come from God. That's just my own opinion.
No, I would agree with that one. I really would. Yeah. So that's what's happened to me personally, is that it's just allowed me to kind of look at my life through the lens of other people's experiences, to be frank with you. And that's what happens during the convenings. It's just all about conversation. And that's the cool thing about being on stage. And I hear the buzz of people, having these conversations in front of me, and then we kind of have a conversation back and forth, me on stage and folks in the audience. And I might also add, if you don't want to converse with me, that's cool too. We're all Minnesotans. Some of us are shy. So you can just sit there and listen to the music and just kind of do your own thinking. But, a lot of it is really good energy, and it's super fun. And I never thought I'd ever say that about that subject matter, but it is really interesting and very fun and meaningful. That's the main word, meaningful.
All right. Again, theconvenings.org. Check out the bus to go to Trinity Lutheran Church, 609 Lincoln Avenue South in Owatonna, and from 6:30 until 8 in the evening. I'll leave you with this, Cathy.
Yes, sir.
A quote from Irma Bombeck.
Who I adore.
You probably have heard this before. Never go to a doctor whose office plants have died.
Well said and completely true. By the way, thanks to folks in Owatonna and Faribault, and thanks to you too, Gordy, really for making this possible.
Yeah, appreciate your being on the airwaves with us. You have a great day, and maybe we'll see you next week.
I hope to. Thanks, Gordy.
You bet. Cathy Wurzer joining us. The Re-Convening again is next Thursday. 6:30 until 8 in the evening, 609 Lincoln Avenue South in Owatonna. And again, she'll be in Northfield on February the 8th at the high school auditorium, which is on 1400 Division Street South, 6:30 until 8. You're in tune to KDHLAM, Faribault, Minnesota. Tomorrow.